It is true that associating with people of other faith can have negative influences on your faith, but it is also true that deciding not to associate yourself with people of other faith will prevent you from having a positive influence on them. And so when it comes to associating ourselves with people of other faiths, it is critical that we look at the teachings of the Quran and the guidance we have also from the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said in one hadith in Bukhari that it is better to be alone than to be in bad company, but it is better to be in good company than to be alone. When we look at the general teachings of Islam, we are to protect our faiths from being corrupted by others, whether these others are Muslims or non-Muslims. When it comes to influences from other people, non-Muslims can influence us both positively and negatively, just as Muslims can influence us both positively and negatively. And so, irrespective of the faith of the person you are interacting with, it is important that all Muslims try to protect their faith and their goodness from negative influence, whether that comes from munafiqun, hypocritical Muslims, fasiqun, wrongdoing Muslims, dhalimun, unjust and unfair Muslims, mubtadi'un, heretical Muslim groups, or various shades of non-Muslims. The need to protect ourselves, however, should not prevent us from recognizing that we have an important role to play in positively influencing the larger society, including non-Muslims. We are expected to enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, and we have definitely not been prohibited from being good and dealing with non-Muslims with friendly relationships. Unfortunately, there have been some Muslims who have summarized the relationship with non-Muslims to be one of wala wal bara. Wala meaning to follow them, bara meaning to disassociate ourselves from them. This is a very simplistic and wrong way of summarizing our relationship with non-Muslims. These only show two ways we are not allowed. We are not allowed to follow non-Muslims or Muslims in anything that contravenes and contradicts the clear text and the clear objectives of the Quran and the Sunnah. So in anything that will make us go against our faith, we don't follow anyone in those teachings. So in that sense, there's no wala or alliances with anything that is contrary to the Quran and the Sunnah. But there's also no bara'a. There's also no disassociation with all people, because just like a doctor, even if you believe people are sick, you must interact with them in order to help them, but do it in a way in which you protect your own health. From a Muslim, even where you believe society is not guided or they are misguided, your job is to ensure you try and guide them to the best of your ability without being negatively influenced. And so while we all go through our educational systems and days, we get influenced from all angles, from media, from what we study, from who we meet. And just as Muslims can influence us both positively and negatively, we also can have positive and negative influence from non-Muslims. When we look at the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, therefore, and what it shows, it's not just we keep away from non-Muslims or we follow them, but it also gives the option of bir, as we found in Quran chapter 60 verse 8 in particular. Bir means goodness in the holistic sense of the term, and qist, which means to be fair, that the Quran has not prohibited us. In fact, from all the teachings, Quran enjoins us to be good, to be compassionate to all people, to treat people with fairness. So it's not just do we follow or do we go against, but there's also a midway of being good to people and being fair with others. So on the whole, we should protect our faith, we should protect ourselves as individuals and collectively from negative influences, but not to the extent that we do not allow ourselves to be positively influenced by other people's developments in medicine, in the areas of social transactions or mu'amalat. We should protect our aqidah or our creed, our morals, while at the same time relating with others in such a way that we can positively influence them and help them appreciate the compassion and mercy of Islam. Lastly, when it comes to the concern for influences, we should not forget that Allah expects us to live in a multi-religious and multi-ethnic society, as the Prophet did in his time in Medina, where there was interaction between Muslims and non-Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ accepted and gave gifts. He accepted visits and visited others and interacted with them in a humane and humanistic way. And it is from the kind of interaction that the Prophet, peace be upon him, had with non-Muslims that we find even the Jahiliyyah community, the pre-Islamic community of Arabia in Mecca, nicknamed him Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. And so we should ask ourselves, what kind of interaction should we have with our non-Muslim society so that we positively influence them sufficiently enough for them to even give us nicknames that have positive meanings? We must interact. Though we guard our morals, but we must be positive influences and not allow our fears to prevent us from reacting or being proactive in being positive influencers and representatives of Allah within the society.